The first time they took me, I was terrified. I screamed. I tried to run. The second time, I was angry. I kept asking, why me? What did I do to deserve this? But by the seventh time, I wasn't scared anymore. I wasn't angry because I finally understood. They aren't choosing women. We are being chosen. My name is Sarah. 5 years ago, I was taken from my home in Oregon, and what I learned that night changed everything I thought I knew about being a woman, about being human, about our place in this vast universe. Why do the gray beings always communicate with women? Why do they take us and not men? And most importantly, what are they trying to show us? The answer is deeper than you think. And trust me, when you learn this answer, you will never think about womanhood the same way again. Let me start from the very beginning. June 14th, 2019. That's the date that divides my life into before and after. Before that night, I was just Sarah Mitchell, 32 years old, a labor and delivery nurse at Sacred Heart Medical Center in Eugene, Oregon. I had a small apartment in the Whitaker neighborhood. I drove a 12-year-old Honda Civic. I had 2 cats named Luna and Apollo. My life was ordinary, beautifully, peacefully ordinary. I worked 3 12-hour shifts a week at the hospital, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Then I had 4 days off. On my days off, I'd hike in the Cascade Mountains. I'd read science fiction novels. I'd video chat with my mom who lived in Ohio. I'd meet my friend Jessica for coffee at our favorite cafe on Blair Boulevard. I wasn't religious, but I wasn't completely skeptical either. I believed in something, some kind of greater purpose to the universe. But I'd never given much thought to aliens or UFOs or any of that. Sure, I'd seen movies, read stories online, but those were just stories, right? Entertainment, not something that happened to real people. Not something that happened to labor and delivery nurses in Eugene, Oregon. I was wrong about that. Looking back now, I realize there were signs. Small things I didn't recognize at the time. About 2 months before my first abduction, I started having vivid dreams. Not normal dreams, these were different. In these dreams, I was always looking up at the stars. And the stars were moving, forming patterns, trying to tell me something. I'd wake up with this overwhelming feeling. Not quite sadness, not quite joy, something in between, something I didn't have words for. I told Jessica about the dreams one afternoon at the coffee shop. Maybe it's just work stress, she said, stirring sugar into her latte. You've been pulling a lot of overtime lately. Maybe, I agreed, but I knew it wasn't that. There was something else too. About 3 weeks before that first night, I started noticing this strange feeling when I'd go outside after dark, like I was being watched, not by another person, by something from above. I'd look up at the night sky and I'd feel this pull. This magnetic sensation, like something up there was calling to me, saying, not yet, but soon. I told myself I was being ridiculous. Too many episodes of The X-Files before bed. And then came June 14th. That Thursday, I'd worked a particularly difficult shift. We'd had 2 emergency C-sections and 1 natural delivery that had complications. I was exhausted, physically and emotionally drained. I got home around 8:30 p.m., fed Luna and Apollo, made myself a simple dinner, pasta with marinara sauce, a glass of red wine. I took a long hot shower, put on my favorite pajamas, the soft blue ones with little white stars on them. I remember thinking it was ironic later. Stars on my pajamas the night the beings from the stars came for me. I climbed into bed around 10 p.m. I was so tired, I thought I'd fall asleep immediately. But I didn't. I lay there in the dark, staring at the ceiling. That watched feeling was stronger than ever. My heart was beating faster than normal. Not from fear exactly, from anticipation, like some part of me knew something was about to happen. At exactly 11:17 p.m., my bedroom filled with light. Not light from my lamp, not light from outside. This was different, blue-white, bright but somehow soft at the same time. It didn't hurt my eyes even though it was intensely luminous. I sat up in bed. My first thought was that a car outside had turned on bright headlights. But the light wasn't coming from the window. It was coming from above, from the ceiling or through the ceiling. And then I felt it, a vibration, a frequency, running through my entire body, starting at the top of my head and moving down through every cell. It wasn't unpleasant. It was almost like being tuned. Like I was a radio and someone was adjusting my frequency. I tried to move, to get out of bed, to run, but my body wouldn't respond. I wasn't paralyzed exactly. I could breathe. My heart was beating, but my muscles wouldn't obey my commands. The light grew brighter, and then I saw them. 3 figures standing at the foot of my bed, or floating. I couldn't tell which. They were small, maybe 4 feet tall, with large heads, proportionally too large for their thin bodies. And their eyes, oh God, their eyes, huge, almond-shaped, completely black. No whites, no pupils, just endless, reflective black. Like looking into the depths of space itself. Gray skin, smooth, almost luminescent in the strange blue-white light. Long thin arms, delicate fingers, 3 or 4. I couldn't count clearly. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. My throat was frozen, and then I heard the voice, not in my ears, in my mind, gentle, calm, neither male nor female, just pure communication. Do not be afraid, Sarah. We will not harm you. We are here because you have been prepared. Because you are ready. Ready for what? I tried to say, but the words stayed in my head. Ready to understand. Ready to remember. Ready to help bridge 2 worlds. One of the beings stepped closer, or glided closer. Its movements were so smooth, they didn't seem bound by normal physics. It raised one hand toward me, and I felt a wave of emotion wash over me. Not fear, love, pure, unconditional love. The kind of love I'd only felt a few times in my life. The kind of love I felt when I held newborn babies at the hospital. That perfect, innocent, boundless love. The fear drained out of me, completely, instantly, and then the room disappeared. I found myself somewhere else, somewhere that shouldn't exist. A room, but not like any room I'd ever seen. The walls were smooth, curved, a soft gray color that seemed to glow from within. There were no corners, no seams, like the entire space had been molded from a single piece of material. The light came from everywhere and nowhere, soft, diffused, shadowless. I was lying on a surface. It felt solid, but somehow adapted to my body. like it was supporting every part of me perfectly. Comfortable despite the impossible strangeness of the situation, the three beings were there, standing around me, their large black eyes watching, not with coldness, with curiosity, with something that felt almost like compassion. "You are safe," the voice said in my mind. "We have brought you here to show you something that only women can understand, something that has been hidden from your species for too long." "Why only women?" I asked silently. "Why not men too?" "Because women carry the bridge. Women hold the doorway. Women are the keepers of life itself. And what we need to show you, what we need humanity to understand, requires the consciousness that creates life." I didn't fully understand, but I nodded, or thought I nodded. I wasn't entirely sure my body was even there. I felt present, but also somehow distant from my physical form. One of the beings moved to the side of the surface I was lying on. It placed its hand, if you could call it a hand, near my abdomen, not touching, just hovering a few inches above my skin. I felt warmth, energy, a tingling sensation that spread through my entire lower body. "We are reading your biological signature," the voice explained. "Every human carries within them a template, a blueprint. You call it DNA. But it is more than that. It is a library, a record of everything your species has been and everything it can become. Women carry a special aspect of this template, the creative matrix, the ability to transform energy into matter, to bring consciousness into physical form. This is why we work primarily with women. You understand creation at a cellular level that men do not." Images began filling my mind, not like thoughts, like memories that didn't belong to me. I saw Earth from space, beautiful, blue and green and white, a living jewel hanging in the darkness. I saw humanity, millions of people, going about their lives, working, loving, fighting, creating, destroying. Such a young species, so much potential, so much danger. And then I saw them, the gray beings. Not just the three in the room with me. Thousands of them, millions maybe, on ships, in cities I couldn't comprehend. And they were watching. They had been watching Earth for a very long time. "We have been observing your species for thousands of your years," the voice said. "We have seen you grow from primitive tribes to a global civilization. We have watched you develop language, art, science, technology. We have celebrated your achievements and grieved your violence." "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. "Why me?" "Because you are one of many. Because the time is approaching when humanity must make a choice. And women like you are the key to that choice." Another wave of images, different this time. I saw women throughout history, ancient women, medieval women, modern women, and I realized they'd been taken too, across centuries, across cultures. All of them receiving the same message I was receiving now. They had tried to tell others. Some had been believed. Most had been labeled as witches, as mad, as hysterical. The message had been suppressed, distorted, lost. But now, the voice continued, the time is different. Your species has technology, communication systems, ways to share truth that cannot be easily silenced. And so, we are accelerating the contact, reaching out to more women, preparing more bridges. Bridges to what? I asked. To the next phase of human evolution, to the joining of humanity with the greater galactic community. But this joining cannot happen through force. It cannot happen through fear. It must happen through understanding, through the consciousness that creates and nurtures, through the feminine principle. The warmth near my abdomen intensified. Not uncomfortable, just noticeable. We are placing a marker, the voice said, not a device, not a tracker, a frequency, an energetic signature that will allow us to find you again, that will allow us to continue this dialogue. You may refuse this. We will honor your free will. But if you accept it, you become part of something larger, something that will help your entire species. I didn't hesitate. Yes, I said silently. Yes, I want to understand. Yes, I want to help. The warmth faded. The beings stepped back. You will return to your home now, the voice said. You will remember what you choose to remember. The rest will come to you in dreams, in meditation, in moments of quiet knowing. This is only the first conversation of many, Sarah. You have been chosen because you have the strength to carry this truth, the courage to share it, the wisdom to know when and how. Thank you, I tried to say. Thank you for trusting me. We do not thank. We do not need gratitude. We simply serve the greater pattern, as you now will as well. The room began to fade. The light grew brighter, and then everything went dark. I woke up in my bed, in my apartment, in Eugene, Oregon. Sunlight was streaming through my window. Luna was curled up beside me. Apollo was sitting on the dresser, watching me with his usual morning judgment. I looked at my phone. 7:32 a.m. Friday morning, June 15th. I'd lost 8 hours. I sat up slowly. My body felt strange. Not sore exactly, just different. Like I'd been sleeping in a position my muscles weren't used to. Like I'd been somewhere my body hadn't been designed to go. I looked down at my abdomen, the place where I'd felt the warmth. There was a small mark, circular, maybe the size of a dime. Faint, reddish, like a mild skin irritation. It didn't hurt, but it was there. Physical proof that something had happened. I touched it gently, and the moment my fingers made contact, a flood of memories came rushing back. The light, the beings, the craft, the message, all of it, crystal clear, more vivid than any normal memory I'd ever had. I wasn't afraid. That was the strangest part. I should have been terrified. I should have been calling the police, calling a doctor, calling someone. But I wasn't afraid. I felt calm, peaceful, changed. I got out of bed and walked to the bathroom, looked at myself in the mirror. Same face, same brown eyes, same shoulder-length brown hair that needed brushing. But something behind my eyes was different. Something had shifted. I knew things I hadn't known before. Not specific facts, more like understanding. Deep, cellular understanding about the universe, about humanity, about myself. And I knew this wasn't over. They'd said it was only the first conversation. There would be more. I would be taken again. And somehow, impossibly, I was okay with that. I was chosen. I was a bridge. And I had work to do. The first few days after that initial abduction were surreal. I went back to work on Tuesday. My 3 shifts at the hospital. I delivered babies. I comforted mothers. I did my job exactly as I'd always done it. But everything felt different now. When I held those newborn infants, I saw them differently. I understood what the beings had meant about women carrying the creative matrix. Each baby was a miracle. Consciousness choosing to enter physical form. Energy becoming matter. The most profound magic in the universe happening in my hands every single day. I tried to tell Jessica. On Thursday, our usual coffee day, I sat across from her at the cafe and tried to find the words. Something happened to me last week, I started. Something I can't really explain. She looked up from her phone. Are you okay? You do seem different. Quieter, maybe? I'm fine. Better than fine, actually. But I need to tell you something, and I need you to just listen without judging. She put down her phone. Of course. What's going on? I took a deep breath. Last Thursday night, I was visited by beings, not human. They took me somewhere. A ship, I think. And they told me things, showed me things about humanity and about women specifically. Jessica stared at me. Her face went through several expressions: concern, confusion, worry. Sarah, she said carefully, that sounds like a really vivid dream. You've been working a lot of overtime. Maybe you're more exhausted than you realize. It wasn't a dream. I have a mark on my abdomen. I lost 8 hours, and I remember everything, not like a dream, like a memory, as real as this conversation we're having right now. Jessica reached across the table and took my hand. I think you should talk to someone, a therapist maybe. These kinds of experiences, they can be symptoms of stress or sleep deprivation, or I'm not crazy, I said gently but firmly. And I'm not stressed. I know how this sounds. I know what people think when they hear these stories. But I'm telling you what happened. Because you're my best friend, and I needed to tell someone. We talked for another hour. She didn't believe me. Not really, but she listened. And she didn't judge. And she promised not to tell anyone. I could see it in her eyes, though, the worry, the unspoken thought that maybe her friend Sarah was having some kind of breakdown. I didn't try to convince her. I learned that day that some truths can't be shared. Not yet, not until people are ready to hear them. 3 weeks passed. I went back to my normal routine: work, hiking, reading, taking care of Luna and Apollo. But I was waiting. I could feel it. That same magnetic pull I'd felt before the first abduction. That sense of being called. Being prepared. On July 7th, it happened again. I was ready this time. Or I thought I was. I'd gone to bed around 10 p.m. like usual. But I couldn't sleep. I lay there in the dark with my eyes open, staring at the ceiling, waiting. At 11:53 p.m., the light came. Same blue-white glow, same frequency vibration running through my body. But this time I wasn't afraid. This time I welcomed it. The 3 beings appeared. I recognized them now. Or maybe I was just recognizing their energy signature, their consciousness. Welcome back, Sarah. You have been thinking about what we showed you. Yes, I replied silently. I've been thinking about it constantly. But I still don't fully understand. Why women? What is it about us specifically that makes us the bridges? Tonight we will show you more. Come. The bedroom dissolved. I found myself on the craft again. Same curved walls, same soft, shadowless light. But this time I wasn't lying down. I was standing, and I wasn't alone. There were other women there, 5 of them, all different ages, different races, standing in a circle in this impossible room. They looked as confused as I felt. A young Asian woman, maybe early 20s, a middle-aged black woman with gray streaks in her hair, a teenage girl with blonde hair and frightened eyes, an elderly white woman who seemed surprisingly calm, and a Hispanic woman about my age who kept looking around in wonder. "Do not be alarmed," the voice said. But this time it wasn't directed just at me. All 6 of us could hear it. "We are showing you that you are not alone, that there are thousands like you across your planet. Women who have been contacted, women who carry the frequency, women who are being prepared." "Prepared for what?" the young Asian woman asked aloud. Her voice sounded strange in that space. Too solid, too human for the transformation. "Your species, is approaching a crossroads. Within 2 generations, you will either destroy yourselves or evolve into something greater. The outcome is not predetermined. It depends on choices your species makes collectively." "And what do we have to do with it?" the middle-aged black woman asked. She sounded skeptical, strong. "Why pull us out of our beds in the middle of the night? Why not just land on the White House lawn or something?" "Because that is not how consciousness evolution works. Force creates resistance. Fear creates shutdown. What is needed is organic awakening, grassroots understanding. And that awakening must begin with those who understand creation at the deepest level." One of the beings moved to the center of our circle. It raised its arms, or what passed for arms, and suddenly the room filled with images. Holographic, 3-dimensional, all around us. I saw human history, but not the version I'd learned in school. This was different. I saw ancient civilizations: Sumer, Egypt, the Indus Valley, the Maya, and in each civilization there were women, priestesses, healers, oracles, and they were in contact with beings from the stars. They carried knowledge, preserved it, passed it down through oral traditions and secret teachings. I saw the suppression that came later, the burning times, the witch trials, the systematic destruction of feminine wisdom, millions of women killed, not because they were evil, because they knew too much, because they threatened patriarchal power structures, because they carried the memory of contact. I saw the modern era, women's liberation, the reclaiming of power, the slow awakening, and I saw that it wasn't random, it was timed, orchestrated not by the beings but by the collective human consciousness, preparing itself for the next phase. Your species has spent thousands of years developing through masculine consciousness, the voice explained. Competition, hierarchy, domination, conquest. This phase was necessary. It developed technology, science, systems of organization. But it has reached its limit, taken to its extreme masculine consciousness alone. Leads to destruction. What is needed now is integration. Balance, the reawakening of feminine consciousness, not as weakness, not as submission, but as creation, intuition, connection, cooperation. These are not soft qualities. They are the foundation of advanced civilization. So you're saying women are better than men? the elderly white woman asked. She didn't sound offended, just curious. No, we are saying humanity needs both. But for thousands of years, one has dominated. Now the other must rise to create equilibrium. And women must lead this rising because you have never forgotten. Not completely, even under suppression, you passed down the knowing. In stories, in songs, in healing practices, in the care of children and the birthing of new life. The images shifted. Now I saw the future, multiple possible futures. In some, Earth was burning. Wars over resources, climate catastrophe, mass extinction, humanity destroying itself and taking countless other species with it. In others, Earth was thriving. Clean energy, cooperation between nations, technology integrated with nature, humanity joining a galactic community of conscious species, spreading life and awareness throughout the cosmos. The difference between these futures, the voice said, is consciousness. And consciousness changes one awakened individual at a time. You 6, and thousands like you. You are seeds. Plant yourselves in your communities. Grow. Share what you know in whatever way feels authentic. You don't need to convince anyone. You simply need to embody the truth. Live it. Be it. How? The teenage girl asked. Her voice was small, scared. I'm just 16. Nobody listens to me. How am I supposed to change anything? You don't change things by force. You change things by being different, by making different choices, by treating others with compassion instead of judgment, by honoring the earth instead of exploiting it, by listening to intuition instead of just logic. Small choices every day. That is how consciousness shifts. We stood there, 6 women from different backgrounds, different countries probably, listening to beings from another world tell us we were supposed to help save humanity. It should have felt overwhelming, impossible, but it didn't. It felt right, like remembering something I'd always known but forgotten. The Hispanic woman next to me reached out and took my hand. I looked at her. She smiled, squeezed my fingers. We didn't speak, but we understood. We were connected now. Part of something larger than ourselves. You will return to your homes now, the voice said. Most of you will not remember this meeting clearly. It will feel like a dream, but the knowing will remain. The activation has occurred. Go in peace. Live in truth. We will meet again. The room faded, and I woke up in my bed. It was morning, Saturday, July 8th. I'd lost 7 hours this time, and I had another mark, same place on my abdomen. Next to the first one, 2 small circles, like a constellation being drawn on my body. After the second abduction, I became obsessed with understanding. I started researching, late at night on my laptop, reading everything I could find about alien abduction, UFO encounters, women's experiences specifically. I found so many stories, thousands of them, women from every continent, every culture, describing experiences remarkably similar to mine. The gray beings with the large black eyes, the feeling of being chosen, the message about feminine consciousness, the marks on the body, the missing time. But I also found all the skepticism, the debunking, the psychological explanations, sleep paralysis, false memory, trauma response, mass hysteria. I read the theories with an open mind. I was a nurse. I understood science. I understood the brain's capacity for creating elaborate experiences that felt real but weren't. But I also understood my own direct experience, and no psychological theory could explain the physical marks, the exact timing, the consistency across multiple encounters, the changes I felt in my consciousness. I joined an online support group, anonymous, for women who'd had contact experiences. I read their stories, and my heart broke open. So many women, so many carrying this truth alone, too afraid to tell anyone, worried about being labeled crazy, losing their jobs, their families, their credibility. One woman wrote, "I've been taken 17 times over 8 years. My husband left me. My therapist put me on antipsychotics. My mother won't speak to me. But I know what I experienced. I know it was real. And I know I'm not alone, even when I feel completely isolated." Another wrote, "I'm a physicist. I have a PhD from MIT. I've published papers in peer-reviewed journals. And I've been visited by gray beings 6 times. I can't tell anyone in my professional life. It would destroy my career. But the things they've shown me about consciousness and quantum mechanics, it's revolutionizing how I think about my research." I started participating in the forum, sharing my own experiences, connecting with these women who understood. And slowly, I began to piece together the larger pattern. The beings weren't just randomly taking women. There was a structure, a purpose, a method. They were creating a network, a web of awakened consciousness spanning the entire planet. Women who would slowly, quietly begin shifting the collective energy. Not through preaching, not through forcing belief, but through embodiment, through being living examples of a different way. It was brilliant, really, gradual, organic, working with human free will instead of against it. But it was also lonely, because I couldn't talk about it openly. I had to carry this enormous truth inside me and pretend everything was normal. August 23rd, 5 weeks after the second abduction. I was hiking alone in the Cascades. It was a beautiful late summer day. Clear blue sky, warm sun, the scent of pine and wildflowers. I'd hiked about 3 miles up a trail to a small alpine lake. I sat on a rock by the water, eating an apple, watching dragonflies skim the surface. And then I felt it, that frequency, that pull, in the middle of the day, not in my bedroom, but here, in nature. I looked up. The sky was still blue, but there was something there, a distortion, like heat waves but cooler, a shimmer, and then I wasn't by the lake anymore. I was on the craft. But this time, it was just me and one being. "Why did you bring me here?" I asked, "in the middle of the day?" "I thought contact only happened at night." "We go where you are most open," the being replied. "Today, in nature, your consciousness was receptive, quiet, ready, so we came." "What do you want to show me this time?" The being moved closer, placed a hand near my heart. Not touching, just hovering. "We want you to understand why you feel different, why your life feels strange now. You are undergoing a process, an activation. Your DNA is being adjusted, not dramatically, not visibly, but subtly. At the quantum level, "You're changing me?" I should have felt violated, but I didn't. I felt curious. We are not changing you. We are unlocking what was always there. Humans carry latent potential, abilities your species calls psychic or supernatural, but they are neither. They are natural capacities that were suppressed during your evolutionary development. Survival required different skills. But now, for the next phase, these capacities must reawaken. What kind of capacities? Intuition beyond logic, sensing energy fields, communicating telepathically, healing through intention, manifesting through focused consciousness. These abilities are particularly strong in women because they are connected to the creative matrix. The same force that creates life can also reshape reality. I felt overwhelmed suddenly. That's too much. I'm just a nurse. I deliver babies. I work 12-hour shifts. I go home tired. I'm not special. I'm not some kind of superhero. You are exactly special enough. Special does not mean separate. It means specific. You have specific qualities that make you suitable for this work. Compassion, groundedness, service orientation, connection to the creation process through your work with birth. You are perfect because you are ordinary in the ways that matter. The being's hand moved from my heart to my forehead. I felt warmth, energy, information downloading directly into my consciousness. When you return, you will notice changes. Your intuition will be sharper. You will sense things about people before they tell you. You will have knowing that comes from nowhere. Trust it. This is your natural ability activating. Will it keep happening? Will you keep taking me? Yes, until you have received all that you need to receive. Until you are fully activated. We estimate 3 to 4 more contacts over the next 18 months. Each one will deepen the activation, strengthen the connection, prepare you for what is coming. What is coming? A great shift. Within your lifetime, your species will make the choice. Destruction or transcendence. And women like you will be the tipping point. The ones who hold the space for the new consciousness to emerge. I wanted to ask more, but the craft was already fading. The lake was coming back into focus. I was sitting on the rock. The dragonflies were still there. My apple was in my hand, half-eaten, still fresh. I looked at my phone. Only 3 minutes had passed. But I knew I'd been gone longer than that. Time worked differently there. I had another mark, this one on my right wrist, small, circular. The constellation was growing. After the third abduction, things started falling apart. Not with the encounters. Those were becoming almost comfortable, expected, part of my new reality. But with my normal life, that started crumbling. My relationship with my boyfriend Mark ended. We'd been together for 2 years. It wasn't serious, but it was comfortable. Steady. He noticed the changes in me. How could he not? "You're different lately," he said one evening at his apartment. We were supposed to be watching a movie, but I kept zoning out, thinking about the beings, the messages, the activation. "Different how?" I asked. "Distant, like you're here but not really here, like your mind is somewhere else all the time." He wasn't wrong. "I've just been thinking a lot," I said, "about life, purpose, the big questions." Since when do you care about that stuff? You used to be so practical, so focused on the here and now. I looked at him, really looked at him, and I realized we didn't make sense anymore. I'd outgrown the relationship, not because he'd done anything wrong, just because I'd changed so fundamentally that we no longer fit. We broke up 2 weeks later. It was mutual, sad but necessary. Work became difficult too. Not the job itself. I still loved delivering babies. But the small talk with coworkers, the gossip, the complaints about traffic and bills and meaningless drama, it all felt so surface level, so disconnected from what actually mattered. I found myself pulling away, eating lunch alone, avoiding the break room, coming in exactly when my shift started and leaving exactly when it ended. My supervisor noticed, called me into her office one day. "Sarah, is everything okay? You seem withdrawn lately, not like yourself." "I'm fine," I lied, "just tired, working a lot." "You're one of our best nurses, but I'm worried about you. If you need some time off, some mental health support, that's available. We take care of our people here." I assured her I was okay, but I knew she didn't believe me. The only person I could really talk to was the women in the online forum. They understood. They'd been through the same thing, the isolation, the sense of living in two worlds, the loneliness of carrying truth that can't be shared. One woman wrote, "After my 5th contact, I quit my corporate job and became a yoga instructor. My family thought I'd lost my mind, but I couldn't keep pretending that quarterly earnings reports mattered. I needed to do work that actually helped people wake up." Another wrote, "I lost most of my friends after I started changing. They said I'd become weird, too spiritual, too intense. It hurt, but I also realized they were never really my people anyway." The right people find you when you're living in alignment. I read these messages late at night and cried. Not from sadness exactly, from recognition, from relief at not being alone. October 1st, 2 months after the 3rd contact. I was meditating, something I'd started doing after the beings told me it would help with the activation. I'd set up a small space in my apartment, a cushion, some candles, a few crystals I'd bought at a metaphysical shop downtown. I was sitting cross-legged, eyes closed, focusing on my breath. And suddenly, I wasn't in my apartment anymore. I was on the craft. But this time it looked different, more like a garden, plants everywhere, not earth plants. Something else, glowing, moving slightly, as if breathing. "You are progressing well," the voice said. "Your consciousness is expanding. The activation is taking hold." "I feel like I'm falling apart," I replied. "My relationship ended. My coworkers think I'm weird. I don't fit anywhere anymore." "You are not falling apart. You are shedding, like a snake sheds skin, like a caterpillar dissolves in the cocoon before becoming butterfly. This discomfort is necessary. You cannot become something new while clinging to what you were." That's easy for you to say. You're not the one losing everything. You are not losing everything. You are losing what no longer serves. There is a difference. One of the beings approached. It held something, a small glowing sphere, about the size of a marble. "This is a gift, not physical, energetic. It will help you navigate the transition. Hold out your hand." I extended my right hand. the being placed the sphere in my palm. The moment it touched my skin, it dissolved, absorbed into me. I felt a rush of warmth, clarity, peace. What was that? Compressed information, encoded at a frequency your consciousness can gradually unpack. It will guide you, answer questions, provide strength when you doubt. You will not consciously access it, but it will be there, working in the background, helping you become who you need to become. How many more times will you take me? 3 more. The 5th will be the most difficult. The 6th will bring understanding, and the 7th will complete the activation. After that, you will no longer need to come here. The connection will be permanent, internal. You will be able to communicate with us through meditation, through intention, through the bridge you have become. I nodded, understanding, accepting. When you return tonight, the being continued, you will begin to attract others. People who are waking up, who sense something in you, who feel drawn to your energy. Do not push them away. They are coming to you for a reason. You are becoming a lighthouse. Your activated consciousness calls to others who are ready to activate. The garden faded. My apartment came back into focus. I was still sitting on my cushion, the candles still burning. But something was different. I felt stronger, more centered, less afraid of the changes happening in my life. I had another mark, this one on my left ankle. 4 marks now, a constellation forming across my body. December 19th. 2.5 months after the 4th contact. The beings had warned me. The 5th would be the most difficult. I didn't understand what they meant until it happened. It was 3 a.m. I woke up suddenly, not from the light, from a feeling, a pulling sensation so strong it almost hurt. Like something inside my chest was being drawn upward. Toward the sky, toward them. I got out of bed, walked to the window, and I saw it. Not just light this time, the craft itself, hovering above my apartment building. Silent, massive, triangular, covered in lights that pulsed in patterns I couldn't understand. And I heard screaming. My neighbor's voice. Mrs. Chen from the apartment next door. My heart raced. They'd never been this visible before. This obvious. What if someone called the police? What if this became news? What if my life became a circus? But even as I thought these things, I felt the frequency, the vibration, and my body started moving toward the door. Not because I was controlling it. Because I was being called. I opened my apartment door. Mrs. Chen was in the hallway, in her nightgown, staring up, pointing. "Do you see it?" she shouted. "What is that thing? What's happening?" "It's okay," I heard myself say. My voice was calm, too calm. "Go back inside. You're safe. Everything is okay." She looked at me. Her eyes were wild, terrified. "How can you be so calm? There's something in the sky, something impossible." "I know," I said gently, "but it's not here to hurt anyone. Please, go back inside, close your curtains, try to sleep. In the morning, you'll think it was a dream." She stared at me for another moment. Then slowly, as if in a trance, she turned and went back into her apartment. I heard her door click shut, and then I felt the pull again. Stronger this time. I walked back into my apartment, closed my door, and stood in the center of my living room. The light came, but this time it was different, harsher, brighter. It felt invasive. I was lifted, actually lifted. My feet left the ground. I floated upward, through my ceiling, through the roof of my building, into the night sky, toward the craft. It should have been terrifying. It was terrifying, but I couldn't scream, couldn't fight. I could only surrender. I passed through the hull of the craft and found myself in a room I hadn't seen before. This one was clinical, cold, metal surfaces, bright lights, more like a medical facility than the soft, curved spaces I was used to. There were 5 beings this time, not 3, and they weren't moving with their usual grace. They seemed hurried, purposeful, almost urgent. "This is the difficult part," the voice said. "We must access deeper layers of your consciousness, memories you have suppressed, experiences you have hidden even from yourself. This will not be pleasant, but it is necessary for full activation. What are you going to do to me? We are going to show you why you volunteered. Before you were born, before you came into this body, you made an agreement, but you do not remember. Tonight, you will remember." One of the beings approached with what looked like a device, a wand, glowing. It touched my forehead, and my mind exploded open. I saw myself, but not as Sarah, not as human. I was consciousness, pure awareness, existing in a space between lives. What some people call the soul realm, the place where we review our experiences, plan our next incarnation. And I was in a meeting with the gray beings and with other consciousnesses, other souls preparing to incarnate as humans during this specific time period. We knew in that pre-birth state what was coming for Earth. The crisis point, the choice between destruction and evolution. And we volunteered. We agreed to come. To be born as women during this crucial time. To carry the frequency. To be the bridges. But we also knew it would be hard. We knew we would forget. That the veil of physical existence would make us doubt. That we would feel alone, crazy, broken, and we came anyway. I saw myself choosing my parents, my body, my life circumstances, everything designed to prepare me for this role. The challenges I would face, the wounds I would carry, the strengths I would develop. Being a nurse wasn't random. I chose that profession before I was born because I needed to understand the creation process, the birthing of life, the moment when consciousness enters matter. I needed that knowledge in my cells, my daily work, the difficult childhood I'd had, the absent father, the alcoholic mother I rarely talked about. That wasn't random either. It taught me resilience, independence, how to keep going when things were hard, skills I would need. Even the breakup with Mark, the isolation from coworkers, the shedding of my old life. All of it was planned, necessary, part of the process. I was shown other women too, thousands of them, millions maybe, all across the planet. All souls who had volunteered for this same mission, each one carefully placed, each one prepared through their unique life circumstances. We were an army, but not a fighting army, a consciousness army, raising the frequency of the planet, one awakened woman at a time. And then I saw something else, something that made me sob. I saw the future I was helping to create, the earth my children's children would inherit. If we succeeded, it was beautiful. humanity living in harmony with nature. Technology integrated with consciousness. Wars ended. Poverty eliminated. Every child fed. Every person valued. The oceans clean. The forests restored. And humans finally ready to join the galactic community, to meet other species as equals, as family. But I also saw the other path, the one that led to destruction. And I understood viscerally that the outcome wasn't guaranteed, that free will was real, that we could fail. The weight of it crushed me. Too much responsibility, too much pressure. I can't do this, I thought. I'm not strong enough. I'm just one person. How can I possibly make a difference? You are not one person, the voice reminded me. You are one of millions, and together you are everything. No single drop creates the ocean, but without each drop, there is no ocean. The memory began to fade. I was back in the clinical room, on the craft, in my human body, shaking, crying. The beings stood around me, silent, letting me process. Now you remember, the voice said softly. Now you know why you are here, why all of this has happened, why you were chosen, because you chose to be chosen. Before you ever took your first breath as Sarah Mitchell, I understood then why this was the difficult encounter, not because of physical pain, but because of the weight of truth, the responsibility of remembering. January 30th, 6 weeks after the devastating fifth contact. Those weeks were hard, the hardest of my life. I walked around in a daze, going through the motions, working my shifts, coming home, sitting in my apartment, staring at walls, the memory of who I really was. What I'd agreed to, it was too big, too overwhelming. I stopped meditating, stopped reading the online forum, stopped trying to understand. I just wanted to be normal Sarah again. The one who didn't know anything, who could live a simple life without cosmic responsibility. But the beings didn't let me hide. On January 30th, they came for me again. The 6th time, I was ready to refuse, to tell them I was done, that I couldn't handle this anymore, that they needed to find someone else. But when the light came and I found myself on the craft, something was different. The room was warm, comfortable, like a living room almost. There were no clinical tables, no harsh lights, just a soft space, and one being, sitting or positioned in a way that suggested sitting. Sit with me, Sarah, the voice said. Not commanding, inviting, I sat, or floated into a seated position. You have been struggling, the being said. We feel your pain, your doubt, your fear, and we want you to know something important. You can stop at any time. We will not force you. We will not punish you. If you choose to return to ordinary life and forget all of this, we will honor that choice. I felt tears on my face, relief flooding through me. Really? I can just say no? I can go back to normal? Yes. The agreement you made before birth was based on free will. Free will exists in all moments, not just at the soul level, but here, now, as Sarah, you can choose differently, and there will be no judgment, no consequence. I sat there, absorbing this. I could walk away. I could go back to delivering babies and dating and worrying about bills. I could forget the beings, the message, the mission, but even as I thought it, I knew I couldn't. Not really, because once you know, you can't unknow. Once you've seen the bigger picture, you can't unsee it. I don't want to stop, I heard myself say. I'm just scared. I'm scared I'm not enough. That I'll fail, that nothing I do will matter. The being leaned forward, placed a hand over my heart. Physical contact for the first time. I felt such love, such pure, unconditional acceptance. Listen carefully, the voice said. You are not responsible for the outcome. You are only responsible for showing up, for being authentic, for living your truth. The rest is not yours to control. Do you understand? You don't have to save the world. You just have to be yourself. Your fully activated, fully conscious, fully authentic self. That is enough. That is everything. Something shifted in me, a release, a letting go of the weight I'd been carrying. Every woman we contact receives this message at the 6th encounter, the being continued. Because this is where most struggle, with the burden of responsibility. But evolution is not a burden. It is a joy, a privilege, an adventure. When you stop seeing it as duty and start seeing it as gift, everything changes. Show me. I said, show me how to see it differently. And the being showed me, not through words, through direct transmission. Downloaded understanding. I saw that I didn't need to preach. I didn't need to convince anyone. I didn't need to shout truth from rooftops. I just needed to live differently. Make conscious choices. Treat people with compassion. Honor the earth. Follow my intuition. Trust the process. And by doing that, I would emit a frequency, an energetic signature that would naturally attract others who were ready, who were waking up, who needed what I carried. I would find my tribe, my people, not by searching, but by being, and together we would create pockets of new consciousness, little circles of light that would slowly merge, expand, eventually covering the whole planet in a web of awakened awareness. It wouldn't happen overnight. It would take time, decades maybe, but it would happen, was happening right now, through millions of women just like me. I left that 6th encounter transformed, not burdened, liberated. I had 5 marks now, the constellation almost complete. February through early March, 6 weeks of preparation. I knew the 7th encounter was coming, the final one, the completion, and I prepared for it consciously, intentionally. I started meditating again, daily, sometimes twice a day, connecting with the frequency. The beings, the web of awakened women. I started teaching, not formally, but I'd started a small women's circle, just 5 of us, meeting every week at my apartment. We'd meditate together, share experiences, support each other. I didn't tell them about the abductions, not directly, but I taught them what the beings had taught me. About feminine consciousness, about intuition, about creating reality through frequency. And they were hungry for it, desperate for it, like they'd been waiting their whole lives for someone to give them permission to trust what they already knew. One of the women, Maria, came to me after the 3rd circle. "Sarah," she said quietly, "I need to tell you something, and I don't know if you'll think I'm crazy." "Tell me," I said. "I've been having dreams about beings with big black eyes, and they keep showing me things about Earth, about women, about some kind of awakening that's happening. I looked at her, really looked at her, and I saw it, the glow, the activated frequency. "You're not crazy," I said. "Tell me everything." And she did. Her story was different from mine in details, but the core was the same. She'd been contacted. She was waking up. She needed community. By early March, 3 of the 5 women in the circle had shared similar experiences. We were finding each other, recognizing each other, building the network, and I realized the beings were right. I didn't need to save the world. I just needed to be authentic. And the right people found me. March 21st, spring equinox, the balance point between dark and light. I knew it would be tonight. I felt it all day. That magnetic pull, but stronger than ever before. I prepared intentionally, took a long bath, lit candles, put on comfortable clothes, sat in meditation, and I spoke to them, out loud, even though they weren't physically present yet. "I'm ready," I said, "for whatever comes, for completion, for activation, for this new phase. I'm ready." At exactly midnight, the light came, but this time I wasn't taken to the craft. Instead, the 3 beings appeared in my living room, standing there in physical space in my actual apartment. "It is time, Sarah Mitchell. The 7th contact, the completion of your activation. Are you willing?" "I am willing," I said. My voice was steady, certain, then receive. All 3 beings raised their hands, and energy poured from them. Into me, through me. It didn't hurt. It was overwhelming, but in the most beautiful way. Like being filled with light, with love, with infinite knowing. I felt every cell in my body activate, my DNA shifting, unlocking, remembering. I felt my consciousness expand beyond my body, beyond my apartment, beyond Earth. I was connected to everything, every living being, every star, every particle of existence. And I understood, finally, completely, why women. Not because we're better than men, but because we carry a specific frequency. The creative frequency. The frequency that says, I can take nothing and make something. I can take 2 cells, cells, and create life. I can transform energy into matter through my own body. This frequency, this understanding of creation at the cellular level. This is the key to the next phase of human evolution. Because what's needed now is not more destruction, not more competition, but creation, cooperation, the birthing of a new paradigm. And women, we remember how to birth. It's in our bodies, our consciousness, our very essence. Men can learn this too. They must learn it. But women are the teachers, the way showers, the ones who model what creation consciousness looks like in action. The energy flow began to slow. The beings lowered their hands. "It is complete," the voice said. "You are fully activated. You are a bridge between worlds, between human and galactic consciousness, between the old paradigm and the new. You will not see us physically again, but we are always with you, in meditation, in intuition, in the quiet knowing that guides you." "What do I do now?" I asked. "Live, love, create, be, that is all, that is everything. Trust that you are exactly where you need to be, doing exactly what you need to do, and know that millions of women across your planet are doing the same. The transformation is happening. You are part of it, and it is glorious. The beings began to fade, becoming translucent, then transparent, then gone. But I could still feel them, not as separate entities, but as part of me, part of the vast web of consciousness I was now permanently connected to. I looked down at my body, and I saw the 7th mark, forming in real time, on my collarbone, right over my heart. 7 marks, 7 encounters, a constellation complete. I was activated. I was a bridge. I was ready. That was 18 months ago. Today, I'm still Sarah Mitchell. Still 33 years old. Still a labor and delivery nurse at Sacred Heart Medical Center. But I'm also so much more. The women's circle has grown. We're 23 now, meeting twice a month. Some of them have been contacted too, others haven't. But all of them are waking up, activating, becoming bridges in their own way. I've started writing, sharing my story online, not on the support forums anymore, publicly, under my real name. And yes, some people think I'm crazy. I've lost a few friends. Some family members don't speak to me, but I've also connected with thousands of women who needed to hear this, who needed to know they're not alone, who needed permission to trust their own experiences. I'm seeing changes, real changes, in my community, in the women I meet. There's an awakening happening, a shift in consciousness. It's subtle, gradual, but it's real. More women speaking up, trusting intuition, rejecting systems that don't serve, creating new ways of being, supporting each other, honoring the earth, teaching their daughters differently. This is the transformation the beings spoke of. Not dramatic, not sudden, but organic, grassroots, unstoppable. And I understand now why it had to be women leading this shift. Because women know how to be patient, how to nurture, how to hold space for growth even when it's slow, even when it's painful, even when the outcome isn't guaranteed. We know how to birth, and we're birthing a new world. If you're watching this video, it's not an accident. You were called to this story. Something in you recognized the truth in what I shared. Maybe you've had your own experiences. Maybe you've felt that pull toward the stars. Maybe you've always known there was something more. Listen to that knowing. Trust it. You're not crazy. You're not alone. You're waking up. And if you're a woman, know this. You carry sacred frequency, the creative matrix, the ability to transform reality through consciousness. This is your birthright, your power, your purpose. You don't need to be contacted by beings to activate it. You can choose activation right now. By honoring your intuition, by trusting your body's wisdom, by speaking your truth even when it's scary, by supporting other women, by creating instead of consuming, by choosing love over fear. Every choice you make creates ripples, affects the field, shifts the collective consciousness. You are more powerful than you know, and the world needs you, needs your full, authentic, activated presence. The beings chose women, but really, we chose ourselves. Before we were born, we volunteered, we said yes to this mission, this moment, this transformation. So say yes again, now, as the woman you are today. Say yes to waking up, to stepping into your power, to being the bridge. The future is being written right now by women like you, like me, like millions of others across this beautiful planet. And together we are creating something extraordinary. Welcome to the awakening. Welcome home.